There's a peaceful solution. It's called a peace revolution. Now let's take back America. There's a war and we're in it, but I know we can win it. So let's take back America. It's a dream, so believe it. Get ready to receive it, and let's take back
America. You've got the petroleum industries. Every election, they back the major candidates on both sides. So that way, whoever wins has to help them out when it comes time to making decisions about whether or not we're going to transfer over to renewable resources, or whether we're just going to continue to burn through our petroleum and our woods and everything at a rate that just can't be rebuilt or brought back.
Seeking out the ownership of whole countries without owning their country, just owning their resources, and the mass transportation of these resources into a conglomeration of corporations that are trying to basically own our future.
I would say there's a lot of consumption, and I'm not sure if the earth has all the resources.
Because we take, but we don't necessarily give back, and then as a result of the manner in which we take, we poison ourselves.
I think we're too dependent on other countries for oil.
If you look at cars are big, consume a lot of fuel.
Once we run out of fossil fuels, we run out.
I think we just depend too much on the Western countries for oil, and some of those countries exploit that, because they know we depend on it.
Well, for one thing, traffic.
It seems like there's traffic. There used to be just traffic between 6 and 8 in the morning, and then traffic between maybe 3 and 7 in the evening. Now there's traffic all the time.
Too much cars on the road, causing smog. I mean, when I drive every morning, you can just see it in the air.
Yes, you look at the smog right now. This is a beautiful, beautiful area. It's gorgeous, and the smog's ruining it.
Keeping this planet clean and not polluting the environment for our future generations.
Governing bodies were to be real at face value rather than trying to appease the general populace or special interest groups that help them get into office.
Incredible lies that are being fed to us. The incredible lies. The whole Republican Party imploding.
All these holy rollers, they're always mad. Them thumping their Bibles, trying to judge everybody like they're better than them. But once a year you hear about them getting busted for sleeping with somebody. You see them crying on TV, blaming it on the devil. Oh no, they were just dirty from the get-go. They just wanted to blame it on something.
Discovering that our country is capable of a lot of corruption, because you grow up thinking that it's not,
We're too snobbish toward the rest of the world. We tend to tout our ability to have everything, and we share very little with other people's.
The sure, no doubt arrogance that we seem to celebrate in certain parts of our culture, makes it impossible for us to see some of the more beautiful parts, or doesn't see that we're destroying some of the more beautiful parts. So.
We don't put the welfare of our country first and realize how lucky we are and all work together to solve those problems. I think that would be the ideal for me. I think instead, we squabble and bicker.
It becomes more important to be an outspoken liberal and an activist than it is to pursue the truth.
We lost our roots of when we became America. We lost the Constitution at some levels. We've lost a lot of the things that make America, America.
It's the decline of our economy, which I feel is so frightening worldwide.
The dissolution of opportunity for a lot of the middle class or lower classes.
America can claim to be the richest country in the world, and I guess technically it is, but a huge chunk of us certainly don't feel that kind of wealth.
It's a crisis of capitalism. It's a crisis of inequality, of resources being held by the few and the privileged, while the poor and people of color are exploited. The world, you know, our natural resources are diminished. And we hurtle towards, you know, the extinction of our species.
Those who work 5, 6, 7 days a week, and those who have 2 or 3 jobs, and these people still can't support themselves in the richest nation in the world. And even those of us who have a decent income, but we still can't afford medicine, or we still can't afford to go to school in the richest country in the world. You know, that's very problematic, I think. And
I mean, it gets to the point where you can't hardly say anything anymore about anything.
There's certain freedom, the freedom of speech, freedom of a lot of things, and also, finally, there's not a lot of freedom of speech because when you say something, you can be sued for it. So it's a bit the paradox you have, I think, in the US.
Slavery, capitalism, exploitation, environmental racism, greed, and above all, plutocracy. And that all pretty much dominates the democratic process in this country, which isn't even that. It's more of just basically a ruling class dictatorship, or some people call it just straight out fascism.
Political incorrectness is really infringing on freedoms.
Here in America, I don't feel as comfortable as I felt in my country to talk about politics, religion, and sex. There's a big taboos here.
There's like all this shit, but people act like it doesn't smell. And it's just like right in front of me all the time. Like there's a lot of hypocrisy and just, I know so much stuff is going on undercover that I don't know about.
I'd say probably stupidity in general, and people just following everybody else's opinion.
There's such a lack of education, and there's people who, I feel sometimes sad when I talk to Americans and I know more about American history than they do.
The rest of the people who are not in power need to get better educated on public policy, and we need to have a more educated populace.
I think corrupt politicians would probably be the worst thing about America today.
The first thing the devil does is convince you can't do anything wrong or evil. So I think that's one of the things that I find a little disturbing about America in general.
Oh yeah, there's like a bunch of pissed off people that are religious and they just need to get laid.
It's amazing to me how quickly we become savages. You know, and it seems like we base that on our differences rather than, you know, we always talk about how much, you know, we enjoy diversity and everything like that, but I don't know that people really have that at heart.
The most wonderful grandfather in the world and a wonderful father, but you know, they're racist.
I think racism is very ugly. It stops people from reaching their potential. It twists both the victims and the people practicing it.
La discriminación hacia los hispanos, hacia las personas que no son americanas,
the discrimination that is against the immigrants, especially Mexicans.
People that are bigoted towards other people, the refusal of some of the people that come in as immigrants to learn to speak English and communicate with the people of this great land.
There's a lot of discrimination.
Racial profiling.
Harassment.
A lot of racial profiling.
Cops harass.
Yes, they do.
Still got that anger, that jealousy, that envy towards one another. You know what I'm saying? So sad to say, that's not gonna change. You know what I'm saying? But you could try to change it.
Because you do have a lot of mixtures of cultures, and there's preconceived thoughts about that people have about each other, and you know there needs to be more organizations to try to bring people together, because in reality we have much more in common than we do different.
People are desensitized now to other people's suffering and to other people's yearnings. There's moments of selflessness, but more often it seems like it's selfishness.
Because you have a lot of extremely wealthy people, well-positioned, who like the fact that they're running things. And they may, on the surface, parrot, we believe in democracy and populism or whatever it is, but at the heart of it, they want to keep running things to benefit themselves and their friends.
Collectively, none of us are going to get what we want unless individually we can actually look at other people and say, you know, I can give you yours if you're willing to give me mine.
I think it's symptomatic of this country just having some of the most self-absorbed people in the world and being very, I guess, narcissistically disturbed.
Plastic and perfume and pretensions and the disparity in wealth.
Guns.
guns. That's what I was going to say. The guns is so violent that anybody can shoot a gun. I think that's what I was saying. Is the paradox of the freedom of speech, but it's also people can kill you for nothing.
Every day you get more frustrated seeing, the place that you were born in or immigrated to, that you call home, turn into something that's more like your nightmare.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. The whole world is crazy.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
We're all guilty of it. The whole world is crazy.
Even on the good days, the terror tries to tear out our throats. Tonight, life is our coke, sex is our dope. We even drink and smoke whenever we learn around with hope. We're haunted by our ghosts. Even on the good days, the terror tries to tear out our throats. Tonight, life is our coke, sex is our dope. We even drink and smoke whenever we learn around with hope. We're haunted by our ghosts. Each step is just closer to the trap, closer to the last, closer to the wrath, closer to the past. The motion is fast, emotions on track. I got a groove that beast over my back, and now I'm open to that. Take a thing that I be molded from scratch, and with the woes I hold in my lap. Soon to be holding my rap, and damn it, I can even hold you to that.
The whole world is crazy. The whole world is crazy.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.